So welcome, you guys. It's really great to speak again at ACE in Krakow. I really feel privileged. And also it's really amazing to see so many familiar faces in the room. So welcome, guys. So how do you like the conference so far? Do you enjoy? A bit of more energy, guys. Perfect. That's perfect welcoming. Great. Okay, so today's topic also will be really exciting. We'll be talking about the unicorns, right? And our industry is full of them. Yay! That's perfect direction from the room, exactly. But what happens usually in our world? So when we want to deliver a software, and we have this beautiful picture of what we want to deliver, usually we have small tweaks now and then, and maybe some growing scope in a sense, can we add this small tiny thing in, before we release, right? You know it? Yeah, exactly. My name is Kasia Mrowca, and I'll be your host today, and I have a Twitter. So, again, question, how many of you have Twitter? Perfect, a lot of people are in the room, so feel free to tweet, feel free to make pictures. All the stuff I have on the presentation is hand-drawn by myself, so maybe it's not the piece of art, but hopefully you'll enjoy the presentation. Okay, so a bit of myself. I'm really strongly connected with Agile community, and when I was based in Krakow, I was co-organizing the meetup Lead Agile Europe in Krakow, also the conference at some point. So how many of you are actually attending the meetup? Okay, some hands up as well. Perfect. It's really amazing thing to attend, so really recommend. Okay. Also, please feel free to ask questions and contact me via email. Again, Twitter. I'm more responsive in terms of the Twitter than email, to be honest. So recommend this option. I also have a blog, so if you want, please feel free to reach out. Okay. Again, a bit of myself in order to give you the context about the journey of the unicorns. When I started my career, I was working in internal IT department. So it was easy to communicate with business because they were there. I can just reach, grab them, have with them a coffee or some other liquid or other beverage, and talk about the requirements in a nice, friendly manner. So it was easier to understand the needs. Then I moved and I joined the company that was producing software for clients. So it was more like software house, sometimes building bespoke software, sometimes building something general. And what happened? Well, suddenly when you are working in a software house, between you as a product team or development team, you have a chain of people who are adding those small requirements, right? So for instance, you have business analysts, product owners, project managers, salespeople, marketing people, and maybe some other people, and then you have customers somewhere. Maybe. So the journey of the requirement is much longer. Okay, so since having those two experiences, I will try to show you what kind of stuff are actually working in order to delivering nice software in the context of big companies. Before I move to this part, right now I'm a consultant, and I want to put the disclaimer that right now what I do, I deliver PowerPoints. Obviously a joke, we deliver software as well. But basically my opinions are my own, so it's not the company's opinions that I'm presenting here, and are meant to help you in applying the techniques that are frequently shown in the context of startups in the companies that are slightly bigger and sometimes maybe slightly less agile than we would like to be. Okay, before I even move further, I would really like to know a bit more about yourself to tailor the experience to you guys because, agile, it means flexibility. So how many of you are developers? Okay, more or less half of the room. How many product owners here? Okay, a few hands. How many business analysts? Okay. Sometimes I see the same hands, which is good. Okay, that's fair. How many testers? Oh, not many. Okay. How many UX designers, graphic designers? Few, okay, even fewer than testers. Okay, perfect. Do we have anyone who is not working in any technology role? Okay, there are a few people. Okay, that's nice. Okay, cool. Perfect. I hope that you'll find something useful here as well. Okay, so let's start our journey from trying to figure it out what are the troubles that we are facing. Then we'll move to finding, okay, what are the sins that are most commonly visible in the big companies, and then try to find the cure. So remember, the most important thing is context is the king, right? So depending on your role, depending on your organization and the way that it's set up, you need to tailor everything that you hear on the conferences or even in my talk itself. Why? Because we cannot just take stuff, copy-paste our organization and pray that it works. Because we are different as a human beings, our organizations needs are different as well. So that's why when I'll be presenting my example, well, as I said, I will focus more on the big companies, but you can also try to figure it out how it will work in the smaller ones. So I will try to show you the spectrum, how it can work from smaller to the big one, and then you need to do your thinking and think, okay, in this spectrum, where I am and how I can apply this particular thing. Okay, so let's start from figuring out if we are in troubles, or maybe it's everything fine. So the first thing is that if we are arriving to the company, and they're saying, okay, we have brand new project for you, it will be super exciting. You arrive, you just learn that, okay, project is brand new, but it has like 4 years in development, doesn't have a customer, and we have like backlog for 10,000 items inside. No matter if we name them user stories or name them use cases or whatever the line item name is, it's a lot. Then suddenly you realize that actually your product and your thing, it's like too big, it's too complex. So the first thing that you noticed, it's, okay, statistics. What statistics says? This is the research done by Standish Group. They are doing it every few years, and actually it looks all the same. Why? Because big things are complex. It's really hard to forecast, and we as a human beings didn't master yet reading in the crystal ball. Unless someone of you are like magicians and can teach me, then I'm willing to. Unfortunately, I can't yet. And again, if we have big projects, it is more likely that we'll change something, right? If we are changing things, it's usually connected with scope, budget, or the timeline, right? Also, it's more likely that we fail and won't go to the production at all. And to be honest, if we invest for years in a software and we don't have any visibility when we finish, it brings a lot of trust issue between yourself and the business because they invest money and they don't see return. And one thing that is really worth noting, business people understand returns of investment, right? This is what they care because they want to have some benefits from our work. We, on the other hand, want to have nice working software, and if it's helping the business to bring the benefits, it's basically brilliant, right? So what we can communicate, if we decouple our project for smaller modules, it's easier to deliver, it's easier to validate our ideas and assumptions, and it's more likely that we will succeed. So the first exercise that we should do once we spot that our project is huge and it's taking years, just sit down and figure it out how we can make it smaller. Here, what are the main pushbacks from the business? Oh, but we have the budget planned on yearly basis, so we cannot have like 3 months budgets for the projects. Here are with challenges, yes, you can. In one of the companies I was working, and we just have the assumption that if we are able to deliver product within 3 months and sell to the customer and have some revenue, the product is going to survive. If we can't, we are just killing it and moving to another idea. This is pretty brutal. Requests a lot of changes in the business mindset. And also there's a question, okay, if after 3 months we failed, what we are doing with the team. So that's why we need to have idea in a pipeline, what is the next product that we will try to experiment with in order to be able to deliver. Again, you can question, okay, but if we do the corporate software with like really complex business process, how we can do it? Again, we can do the modules and think how we can sell the modules that solves some practical business problem and have the ideas in a pipeline that those modules then can be combined in the one working software. Okay, what else? This is my favorite. If we have the big project, everything seems brilliant. We are on track. We are 4 years on track. But then suddenly we have the delivery date. Oops, it's red. What happened? We were like running with our watermelon and reporting that everything is fine, everything is brilliant, we are on track. Then suddenly we are releasing, boom, suddenly we are red. Why? Because there are multiple things that we haven't thought about before, simply because we didn't have like feedback loop in place. So the customers couldn't actually give us the feedback that something is missing, so they cannot accomplish their business goal, right? Also, frequently, those kind of stuff are not, our bad will. It's just we don't have the visibility what is required to be done. So, again, this is another disease that is frequently seen in the big companies. How we can conquer it? Again, smaller chunks, because if we have delivery after 3 months and it's not there, we will see it quickly because customer will shout at us. Even if we are in internal department, our colleagues will shout at us, okay, why it's not there, why it's not working, the business process is not accomplished. So it's easier to have visibility than releasing something after years. Another really hard thing is, okay, when we actually should stop investing, right? Again, if we invest already for years, it's really hard to say, okay, we should cut the funds, because we just feel attached to the project because, we put so much money, and it's really hard to say stop. Again, it's easier if we upfront will think about the milestones and the ways of course correcting things when stuff gets wrong and red. And then it's just easier to say, okay, we need to switch our focus to something different. From the company perspective, it's really even more complex because suddenly we have people that are working for us. We don't want to fire them because they are good people. On the other hand, the project is not going well, and it's really hard to communicate as well how we can do it. Another favorite thing is Agile, but done in that way, right? It's meant to be joke, guys, but I see sad faces across the room. So unfortunately, it's a really frequent thing. So we are doing our iterations, we are doing our best, we are evangelizing. Yes, we need the feedback loop. We need to have the access to customer in a sense. We need to have a way to getting the requirements and course correcting in place in order to be deliver stuff. But we are the only ones. Rest of the world is like waterfall mindset, right? They have a yearly budget, they have their maybe PowerPoints and other stuff that are not really adjusted to our ways of working. So what frequently happens? So instead of shorten time to market, because we have like frequent releases, we have some like tweak between the Agile and the waterfall, saying, okay, let's develop and test in iterations for 4 years and then deploy. And let's call it Agile, which obviously is not. Again, some companies are just not ready to be agile, and this is completely fine. And having the tweak and being honest with ourselves, okay, we are, for instance, bank institutions. We have multiple regulations that doesn't allow us to set unstable code to the production, because just imagine that your savings are wiped out because someone did the bug in the banking system, right? So not always we can do the stuff as flexible as we want to, but maybe we should be honest and saying, okay, we try to apply iterative way of doing software, not necessarily fully flexible way with short time to market. How we can convince business to change the mindset and saying, okay, we should have quick time to market and frequent releases. Money. As I said at the beginning, what business understand is money. So if we just have the possibilities of setting up the infrastructure in a way that we are able to release frequently without a lot of risk, and points that, okay, this means that our customers have preview earlier and then they can pay us earlier, it basically brings a lot of more to the conversation. Okay, but what else is there? Because those are those high-level pains of the big companies. So also we have struggling with the no product vision. And sometimes we just say, okay, we don't know what to build because we want to experiment. And it's fine if we have the feedback loop in place. If you're experimenting for 5 years or 4 years without showing it to anyone, it's not really experimenting because we don't have a chance to learn and do stuff better. And what frequently is happening, we redo the same features with the hope that we'll do it better, and we end up with something. We don't necessarily know what it is. It's meant to support the core business process. Let's say this is the defense. So it is probably some defense machine, right? But because it was tank, and then someone decided that actually we need helicopter, it's not really working because it can't fly because it's too heavy. It can't be a tank because of the wings on top. So this is challenging. And also what happened here if we don't validate the ideas? Our mystical pot of money that is somewhere in the end of the rainbow, which we are delivering in a part of our unicorn, is running away, right? Again, similar analogy, if we are chasing our rainbow and we don't see the end, it's a bit discouraging for us. So money is the thing that we can use as in the conversation, trying to figure it out, okay, how we should embed in our development process the feedback and how we should share in order to reach this part. Okay, another thing is, size of the backlog. I touched it at the beginning a bit. So what happens if we have those requirements in front? We can't see the priorities. And suddenly, instead of one person managing requirements, we need to have 5 or 10 or whatever. Again, horror story of my life, one of the projects I worked with, there was 5 business analysts, and try to guess how many developers. You probably heard my talk. Yes, 2. It was 2. And business was basically wondering why development is so slow. Mystery. So what we can do, I will just address it later on. But the big backlog usually is causing another thing. So roadmap itself is a brilliant idea because we know where we are heading, and instead of having tank and helicopter in one, we have idea where we're reaching. The trouble is when we start to having commitments. So if we have those thousands of user stories in the backlog, someone will put them in some order, better or worst. Again, it's really hard to actually see the order in there. And someone else will put the dates on top and say, oh yeah, this is your delivery date now. Now it's a commitment. And because we are not living in the empty world, we have other applications that need to communicate with our application. Frequently, it means that someone is building their plan against our plan. So those commitments are really hard to change. And what happened in reality, we have no flexibility to change and adapt to the changing environment. Again, maybe example from the banking systems. A few years back when there was no fingerprint login. Few companies were able to do it because they were flexible enough to change their way of thinking and change the roadmap. Others didn't. Personally, I choose the bank based on the fingerprint logging functionality in the application because otherwise there were no difference between them. So sometimes the technology advantage is really important. Okay, another thing, really quickly, gold plating. So again, believe if we are doing the same thing all over again, we'll do it better next time. It is false belief, because if we build without validating the ideas, we cannot do it better. And again, it's like our child, right? We want best for it, but on the other hand, we need to let go and allow the child to grow up and have the contact with the reality around us. Okay, just quickly recapping before I will go to another part. The cures is try to make modules from the big applications instead of cutting the scope, because this brings a bit of the trust that everything will get built, but in small chunks. Try to avoid watercolor reporting, so if something is red, be brutally honest. Build the milestones so you can course correct and you don't have to kill your product, but you can just change the approach in order to deliver it. Try to be honest in terms of how you are delivering software and try to have the quick time to market approach, just to reach your pot of money quicker. And then in that roadmap commitments, just try to avoid it. Backlog size, obviously try to reduce it. Okay, so what we can do in order to bring hope to our lives? So first of all, vision. So the trouble with having no vision is, and what we need to do, well, we struggle, so we have those marketing people, sales people coming with the ideas, and we not necessarily know what should be done. There is plenty of ways of actually checking out what we need to do in order to avoid building this, right? So we can do research, we can do benchmarks, we can do heuristics, we can actually ask our users, I know it's terrifying, we can do even hackathons inside our company, because frequently what happens when people from the business positions don't know what to build, they say, okay, let's make developers occupied and let's redo the same feature again. Bad idea. Maybe it's better to allow them to do the hackathon instead of redoing things and ending up with this. Another, don't keep your vision in a linear format of Excel or Backlog or other stuff. What I recommend, it's Product Tree. It's a part of the innovation games. It's a really brilliant book. I adapted it slightly in order to accommodate the requirements. Construction is really easy. The branches are modules. The leaves are features. The blue line over here is our current time box. Everything else is a feature. Is a future. We just think and design the stuff that are inside. Stuff that in the future are just there on the tree waiting. We don't waste time to detail them down. And this is the answer also for too big backlog. Again, too big backlog is connected with the lack of trust, unfortunately. The business wants to be certain that the requirements are somewhere captured. If you put them there on the post-its, you can say, okay, it's waiting, it's there, your ticket is here, we will detail it down when its time arrives, right? So again, if we have example with banking application, let's say that we would like to have the enhanced logging details, right? It's one of the post-its. Once we have time to pick it up, we are checking what innovative things are on the market, and you can easily detail them down then. Because maybe fingerprint login will be obsolete in a few years, and we'll just log in via voice, which is really likely, right? So it's no point of keeping something and detailing down right now. So, okay, quickly recapping, if we have no product vision, let's try to do research and try to came up with the ideas like in hackathons. If we have trouble with basically putting the vision in place, which is not linear, I recommend the tree. Here frequently I have question, okay, but I'm collaborating internationally. So I have team in US, in Europe, and in India. I can't have post-its. Well, this structure will work with the mind map as well. There is plenty of software that allows you to do the mind map, and you can accommodate it. If you are interested in more details, I have actually talked about this as well. So after this talk, I can recommend it. Okay, next thing. Okay, how we can figure it out what is the minimum that we need to do. So what is the business process that we actually want to achieve in order to basically make the smoother life of our users or business that we are serving. So first of all, we need to try to measure and understand what we are doing. Again, if we don't do it at the first place, especially if we are doing the corporate systems, it will be hard to then, after deployment, and see if there's any improvement, if not. Here's the example of the software delivered that cut the time needed for doing work to 13 days out of 36. So it's like 1/3 of time needed. And people were super happy, even though software was clunky, the UX wasn't the best, but they were able to not paid over hours. They were able to do their work within the time frame, and they were able to deliver it earlier. So they were super happy. So they were cooperative in terms of helping us to understand how to make the software better, because we understood what is there. So I think that understanding what we actually want to achieve and how to make the business process that we are supporting easier and quicker is the basically key. Another trap that we have, we frequently think about the game changers and we want to deliver them first. It's really brilliant if we have money, but if we are 4 years late, let's think about showstoppers. Let's think about, okay, what we really absolutely have to have in order to deliver, again, to achieve the key business goal. Because if we do this, and we don't have yet game changers, this will help us to collaborate with users, and we came up with the game changers later on, and this is absolutely fine. Maybe if we are a startup, it's a bit different, because we have external funding, but if we are in the corporate world, when our investors get impatient because we do not deliver, showstoppers are the most important thing. Another thing, get rid of stuff that are unfinished. Even if we even think that this is low-hanging fruit, it is just adding up, hide it, and finish it later. This is just pretty brutal thing, but required in order to deliver stuff that are late, to deliver our unicorn, even if it's like 4 years old and time to market actually passed really quick, long time ago. Again, a really heartbreaking thing. At the beginning, we won't be perfect, but this is completely fine. We will experiment, we will get there. So don't worry, there is a hope. Backlog. This is a terrifying thing, especially for the few product owners and business analysts here. I usually brutally say delete it, but business it's not accepting this answer. So copy-paste it to the Excel that you will never ever open again, I can actually guarantee you, because requirements will change. But take the backlog, which is too big, put it somewhere aside, do the tree, detail it down, focus on the most important things of the showstoppers, key business process changes that you need to do, deliver it first, and then revisit the other ideas together with the customer feedback that you have. That's the approach. And if someone asks you about the ticket item number 221B, you can search it in the Excel later on because it's somewhere there. I will build a bit of a trust. Okay, my favorite way of doing the lean backlog, I will just rush it through because I have 4 minutes left. It's picking the thing that we have really important in the applications versus, again, money. I know I'm boring with this, but we in technology frequently forget that money exists and it's really important from the business perspective. On the other hand, what this love is, if we build engines, maybe it's the speed up of application. If we build web applications, maybe it's UX. So depending on your context, you are picking one thing that you are measuring against and checking out all the features and putting them in those 2 dimensions. Frequently I get questions, can I have more dimensions? Yes, but we as a human beings works really good if we have 2. If we have 3, it's additional complexity. And the thing is, if we want to reduce the scope of backlog, this is the quick way of having the conversation together with business and IT stakeholders, security people, and everyone else in order to find the common point of view. What is actually this? So this is our MVP. Still, we need to be pragmatic because if security requirements somewhere here, so let's say that we have banking application and it's really important to have nice UI because people need to have smooth experience. But here is the security in terms of, like, let's say, 2-factor authentication, right? Well, it doesn't influence at all the UI. It doesn't bring any money, but if we don't have it, maybe someone will break to our customers' accounts and we'll just get sued.
So we need to have common sense as well, and some of the requirements need to be picked up earlier, even though they are not here. Again, example we've posted, really easy to do the digital way as well. I'm usually doing it in the PowerPoint on calls, and it's working fine. If it's still too much, because we have tendency as a people to put those everything, somewhere up there. Pick 3 key business processes that you want to measure against and do it like really high level. Happy phase means we are improving situation of our application. Sad phase, we are not improving. Why we should do it? Again, let's have a quick example of airline booking system. We want to have the booking against the color of the aircraft. Brilliant idea from marketing perspective, but suddenly find out that our engine, instead of having the results in 2 milliseconds, retrieve it in 5 minutes because database with the colors is in China. So we cannot reach it. And basically we pick 3 things that we want to measure against, think if we are improving or not. If we are not improving, don't take it. Maybe revisit later. At this point, keep it high level because we'll be wrong anyways. Again, too big backlog, try to make it lean and try to have it measurements in the high level way because we'll be wrong at the beginning. Okay, I still have plenty of slides, so I will just rush them through because I already overran. Apologies for this. So too many features, we have the trap of basically asking and trying to build. No, sometimes we have just too many and we need to reduce and actually delete the features from our application because we have too complex UI. People can't find it. We have too much complexity in our software already and we cannot deliver. So actually deleting functionalities we do not use, it's useful as well. Here I usually say a story about how we once deleted the functionality that wasn't used a year and then suddenly there was the reporting period of time and our main accountant asked, oh, where is my report? So stuff like that happens, so you need to be mindful when people are actually using those features and measure against it. Okay, validation, feedback loop, I was talking about it frequently, so I just only say that design it around the key business process because this will allow you to help people and get their engagement. This is important bit. Again, this was just around advice around measurement. Again, try to avoid gold plating by understanding what is your key business process and how you can build the feedback loop around it. Quickly finishing, I will just show this slide and thank you for your attention. I wish you good luck with your unicorns, especially if you are working in a corporate environment. Thank you very much.